of a backup, but they try their best to have their folks there right away within a day or two to begin the certifications. Load tickets, paper, electronic. As you know, the Solid Waste Authority went electronic. We understand that there's a lot of small town cities, municipalities that prefer paper. We have plenty of paper load tickets available. We're happy to remove them from our storage and give them to you. But also, that's just another nice thing we like to know. You know, when we talk about contact information and sharing information, it's important for us to know if you're going electronic or paper. And if you're going electronic, please let us know who your monitoring agent is. That helps us do a lot of pre-work prior to this hurricane season, and allows Thompson, our monitor, to get with their monitors to make sure if we do get hit with a disaster, at least that's one thing that's out of the way and we can focus on cleaning up our areas. Gated communities, private roads, that's, Mark said, is always a challenge, and you would think after 2004 and 5, somebody way up in government would resolve this issue so we don't all have to panic every year and go through a process. You would think by now there's an understanding, and all states I know are different, but for Florida, particularly Palm Beach County, when they paid for these things, you would think that we would have it worked out now where we don't have to consume our time doing this type of all this action for our gated communities. However, that's the way it is. You know, what we always say, we have done our best at the Solid Waste Authority with ordinances, charter, and all that type of stuff. So the legal responsibility to remove from private roads, we strongly suggest that you seek FEMA approval before entering the private roads and gated communities. We have a whole thing on our website as far as SWA action, what we have done, and I believe we're all up to date with everything that has been required by FEMA with these ordinances and within our collection agreement and special act. When it comes to that, again, you have to, there's a few things that are important here, is you have to show a need. And we have letters, I believe, from the sheriff department, we have letters from the school board, police, and from the county. So that would be, each city would have to do their legwork within your own municipal boundaries to have all those together, just to be safe and comply. Electronic load tickets. SWA, again, will be using the electronic load tickets. It's strictly optional. We found out that we can work with other monitoring firms that have electronic other than Thompson and paper tickets. Again, I stress that we're going to improve the system with reports and everything, and that's why this meeting is important, just to know who your monitoring firm is so we can work that out prior to the storm. Here is the contact information, and again, this will be on our website. If you have any questions, concerns during the storm, here's the best way to get a hold of our team. And I'm going to say it one more time because it's that important. Please make sure we have the updated contact information for your team, for your city, so we can blast fax, we can communicate any problems, challenges, and have great communication. We all have a responsibility to serve our residents to the best of our ability. communication is key to that success. So I think we've proven it last year with Hurricane Irma, how we work together. And if you look at all the different agencies, government agencies, I think we can all be very proud of the people that we serve. It was an amazing effort, amazing job, and we returned our communities back to normal in a very timely manner compared to others. And again, I think it's the key is our communication. And we do work hard to have temporary debris sites strategically located to help out our municipal partners and make sure that, again, we have a best chance for FEMA reimbursement at the end of the day. So with that, are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. The cooperative
Chair.
purchase agreement is with the contractor. That's a direct line between the city and one of the 6 collection contractors or our monitoring firm, Thompson. You would have a direct contract with them, an agreement.
What else do we need to do to get for FEMA? Anything, or that's considered acceptable?
I would, okay, I think that's acceptable because we have the language in the agreements allowing for it. We followed their process. So I would say if you execute through a cooperative purchasing agreement and include that in your package for submittal, you should be fine.
Thank you.
I only have 2 more hours to go, so.
We ended up with an emergency agreement with Thompson when our monitor disappeared. Am I to assume that was just for 1 year?
I don't know what type of an agreement you had with them.
It was Thompson.
Right. Ours is a 5-year agreement, so if you did a cooperative purchase agreement with our contract, you're good until May 7th, 2022. Well, at this point, then I'm going to turn it over to Thompson. They have a few reports just to go over and show you. And again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. Get us your information, and hopefully we'll never use it for the next 3 or 4 years. Thank you.
So I'm Corey Thomas, Director of Financial Recovery for Thompson Consulting Services. Really just have one slide to go over, but we have a lot of time. So is anyone involved in the PA reimbursement, dealing with FEMA directly? Okay. So we'll do like an hour and a half or something on that right now, and everyone else can just listen in. Apparently there's only one, but if anyone is, just wanted to go over the new model you may have heard about, which is how they're implementing the PA program. You heard them talk about the grants portal. That's a new online system where we get to hold FEMA accountable, that's the way I see it. There's no more of this turning something in and then wondering where it is. We submit things electronically to the grants portal. It's all housed there, and you can watch the status of your project, and you can make sure that you're meeting all of their requirements. So you're dealing with someone called a FEMA Program Delivery Manager day to day. That's the replacement for a project specialist. They don't actually write the PW, so whoever you're dealing with on FEMA day to day, they're just helping you get it in. They have no control over what happens at that point. It then goes to the Central Resource Center, which is in Virginia for this disaster, and it gets assigned to a project specialist there who will be writing the PW. We submitted the first PW for SWA in February, and they just got assigned, I believe. Steve, what did they say? A couple weeks ago, we got the first person assigned to that. That said, all of the CAD APWs for collection, reduction, haul out, disposal for SWA have been submitted. That's over $38 million. Statewide, there have been, as of last week when I checked FEMA's database, there were $33 million in approved projects across the state. Total. A lot of that's just estimated things that aren't as difficult as debris in a pilot program. So SWA has 38 million in, and it's assigned to a project specialist, a PW writer in the CSC. So we're hoping to hear back some good news soon. As far as if you're dealing with the PA program in the future, that grants portal is going to be the standard. So it sounds like there aren't as many people involved in that side as I was thinking there might be today, but if you want to bring that back to the folks you work with who may be responsible for that, I would just recommend letting them know to get familiar with that portal. And really, the better you are at it, the more likely you are to get reimbursement quicker. And again, it guides you through the process a little bit. I was actually at FEMA headquarters last week, and they kind of reiterated this. They were hinting at this, that those PDMGs are not always going to be around. FEMA does not want to continue to deploy mass amounts of people. At some of the events we've gone to, they've had 1,200 people sitting in an office, not really with anything to do on day one, but they show up, but they're spending a lot of money doing that. So they've decided that they're going to push the responsibility for documenting and applying for funding to the locals, you all. And so they're going to have a decreased presence out there, and they're really switching to a come and get it model. So if you have any questions, we can talk after in a little more detail, but Wes is going to go into some detail on improvements we're making for the back end of our system that'll hopefully help you get this reimbursement a little quicker, certainly help the SWA get it a little quicker, but again, it's going to go into that reporting and things, but hopefully we're going to be able to make sure you're always first in line for that funding. Does anyone have any questions related to FEMA PA or where the money is right now? Yep. That's exactly what I'd like to know. Okay. So yes, there's. Yep. Thank you.
Hello, Nicole with the Village of Wellington. Exactly what you just said. I'd like to know if you have worked with any municipalities or agencies that have received funding, or as far as I know at this point, there's funding with the state and we're waiting on release from the state?
Yes, correct. So the funding it gets approved from FEMA. When I said 33 million roughly had been approved by FEMA as of last week, awarded, that means that funding should be typically within the next 30 days passed on to the state. We haven't heard any details on the process for that. I can tell you a lot of our clients are getting reimbursed for Hurricane Matthew right now, but that's almost 2 years ago. So they are certainly making a lot of improvements at the state. I know they're trying to clear the books on that and then get this going forward. I think the grants portal is going to help with that because they have all the documentation electronically already. But yeah, I wanted to tee that one up because I knew everyone's going to come afterwards and say, where's our money to me? Unfortunately, that's out of our control and often the state's control. And then at a certain point, it is passed on to the state. But they'll be, again, I know not everyone in the room is going to be directly involved in this, but if you're hearing that question back at your cities, I would let them know to check their email. They're going to be getting a grant agreement soon from the state, and that's going to be a contract essentially that you have to enter into to receive that funding. So they are queuing up everything they need to start releasing funds, which was something that was a little more delayed on Matthew. They're being more strategic about it. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Wes Holden with Thompson Consulting Services. So I'll talk a little bit about reconciliation, which is very ironic that we're having that discussion right now. For those of you that just remember 10, 15, 12 years ago, reconciliation was the buzzword. Everybody had to reconcile. It added 30 to 90 days on top of everything. And the whole point of ADMS electronic load systems was to eliminate reconciliation. So here we are talking about reconciliation again. We had some issues with municipalities that had their own ADMS systems, their other vendors that were incompatible with our systems. Same with the paper load tickets. You have a paper load ticket's incompatible with our system. So we were issuing disposal tickets at the disposal towers for loads of debris that we did not issue, whether it was paper or electronic. So we had to go back during this process and come up with a new reconciliation process to be able to reconcile with our data. So the first thing that we're going to do the following year is we're going to marry photographs, and it's something we've been doing for a long time. We've just never done it at a disposal tower. So we'll be taking photographs of the load tickets, the paper load tickets, or the printout of the electronic load ticket to marry it to our disposal ticket so that we have an absolute reconciliation. If we need to go back and look at the proof, we can look at a photograph and see that. The second thing that we would like to do in a data sharing is we did play nice with the other firms this year, and we were sharing our data electronically. What we want to start doing, though, is we want to implement a daily and a weekly data share with that, and we'll start handing data back and forth to one another daily and or weekly to start reconciling ourselves through our electronic systems. But then some of you probably have no clue what I'm talking about because you probably had us as your monitor and you're wondering why I'm even talking about reconciliation, because it didn't occur. So if we're the monitoring firm, there is no reconciliation. So that's, if we're the monitor, it's a single source ticket. If we're not the monitor, it's dual ticket that must be reconciled. There's the fourth bullet item on there that is going to dovetail into what Corey was talking about, which is one of the improvements that we're going to put into play this coming season is with an electronic load ticketing system, we don't have to reconcile if there's a single issuance of a ticket. So the debris contractors will export our data, they repackage it, and they hand it right back to us. And then we import it right back into our system. We approve an invoice and put it into the pipeline for payment, which in turn then puts it into the pipeline for the PW. So we're going to speed that process up next year, and we're going to eliminate several of those steps so that contractor invoices are approved faster without the big massive loop of the same data set that it started with, so that we can start issuing payment recommendations almost immediately out of the system without having to double, triple, quadruple touch the electronic data set. That's the same. So tying all those things together, it should be an interesting year next year. It's an interesting service delivery model, or next year or 5 years. It's an interesting service delivery model, the way it's set up and the way it works and the way we have multiple systems tying together. We learned a lot this year. We think we can build on that. We already are building on that, and we're looking forward to being able to do it again. But that's just our sick mentality of this is what we do every year. So we don't want to be here doing it again, but in the event that we are, we're looking forward to it. But that's all I have for you all. I mean, I'll take any questions if anybody wants to talk load tickets or systems.
Doug from the town of Jupiter. We were one of the municipalities that had our own debris monitoring company. And our issues weren't so much with reconciling, our issues were several-fold, and just wanted to make sure that these things have been corrected moving forward. The first one was we had a very, very difficult time getting copies of the truck certifications that were issued, which our debris monitoring company needed. It took innumerable requests. The town of Jupiter had to intervene and try to solicit those. It literally took probably 2 months. We were done hauling before we got the actual copies of the certified certifications for the trucks. That was one. The other issue that we struggled with, which required the reconciliation, was that there seemed to be some process in the certification of trucks where identical truck certification numbers were assigned to multiple trucks for hauling in different places, and hopefully there won't be that redundancy occurring moving forward. So the town of Jupiter ended up having trucks that were hauling for West Palm Beach, excuse me, or SWA that were actually assigned to the town of Jupiter because of that certification redundancy. And so that was where our reconciliation took a lot of effort. Up to, I think, about 2 weeks ago, we finally resolved that issue. But it seemed to be triggered by having trucks assigned to the town of Jupiter that were hauling for others. So I just wanted to get some clarity that those things have been addressed on your side so we don't repeat that moving forward.
In regards to the request for truck certifications, I would love to take that offline with you and find out who was the request we're going to and follow that trail. Again, certifications are electronic. They go into the system immediately. Those are generated real time. So not having the data was not the issue. I think there might have been a disconnect in where the communication request is going, but I'll happily take that offline with you. The truck numbers, that we knew that was going to be an issue with some of the monitoring firms. Even though the number may have been the same, it was not a duplicate truck, if that makes sense. Electronically, it was a very different truck. It might have had maintained the same number. That same number may have been on 3 different trucks, but it's still a unique truck based on the barcode, the QR code, the IDs in the system. And that sometimes that's usually a course of disconnectivity. So our system operates disconnected. That's one of the advantages of it. You know, Puerto Rico right now, we're operating disconnected with that system. And when you're disconnected, you can't always go back to the mothership and ask for other information. And the truck certification, and I wish I brought the stats specifically with me, but I can tell you in the 20 years I've been doing this, the truck certification mission that we did in the first 24 to 48 hours is the largest truck certification mission I've ever seen in 20 years. It's never been this large, ever. And so you couple that with disconnected operation, you know, that happens. But it's still unique trucks in our system. It didn't hurt the data at all. But in your scenario, you know, with a different monitoring firm where all they're seeing is a number, I can understand how that would be an issue.
That really wasn't the issue. The issue was a truck that was... My understanding is that the truck that was hauling into the North County site may have had a redundant number to the town of Jupiter, but the call out from the tower that Thompson was making was assigning a truck to the town of Jupiter, and so it was going into your system as a town of Jupiter truck. Our firm identified that as not being a town of Jupiter truck, and so our tickets, and it wasn't a town of Jupiter truck, so we were getting it correct with our monitor. The issue was that it was being assigned to town of Jupiter by the person doing the call at the tower. And that took, as I said, close to 3 or 4 months to reconcile those differences.
And I think the first point, so to answer your question, has been addressed, the load ticket photograph addresses that immediately because we have a tie to that we can go back, look at the source document. So if it was wrong, we do have a document that's immediately tied to it that we can review that. But it's not, the city codes, I think, is where that may have been the issue at, because everybody was assigned a unique city code. And on those loads that were coming in, we were calling the city codes, or the drivers were hopefully telling us the cities they were coming from on that. But the photographs would be the immediate solution to address that, because we have an absolute at that point.
Good morning. Thank you for this presentation. Appreciate it. My name is John D'Agostino. I'm town manager at Lake Park. One of the concerns that we had from a municipal perspective was getting all of our trucks certified, right? Because everyone's coming all at once, and it takes days. It doesn't take minutes, right? to get these trucks certified. We're municipalities, we have an intermunicipal agreement with the Solid Waste Authority. Why can't our vehicles that we're gonna use for vegetation hauling to the site be certified prior to, right after June 1st, and not wait for a storm? Because you have contractors, you have private vendors, you have everybody lining up at the same time to get those certifications on those trucks. We're a municipality. We're not going to use different trucks. And the reason for the certification is so that people are using the trucks that are certified to do the dumping. We don't have a magic wand. We're not going to get trucks from Fairyland to come in and do an illegal dump with you folks. So, and it's not you as much as it is SWA, but cut us some slack in relationship to our intermunicipal agreement and allow us the opportunity to get those trucks certified at the beginning of the storm season, and we will use those trucks if there is that kind of an event. And that will cut down on us paying our people time and a half and overtime to sit in a line to get a truck certified.
Same question every year. Same question is asked every single year.
Is it?
Every year.
I've been asked that question 3 times, and all 3 times I've been asked that question, we went and pre-certified every one of the trucks for the municipality. I would be happy to fulfill that request for you all. And anybody else who would want that request. We don't want to do it for the private contractors, but for municipal equipment, I have no issue doing that.
Okay, well then we'll,
It's impossible. We ask that question every single year, and apparently it can't be done.
we would like to
We're
know.
not asking you, we're asking the Solid Waste Authority why the trucks can't be pre-certified.
They need to be pre-certified. You know, we're the customer, you folks are the receiving end of this. Let's get them pre-certified. Let's establish a process. Let's get the municipal trucks pre-certified so that we can have it done for the entire season prior to June 1st.
And I just want to say that we do our best at all the different debris sites. We have a lot of people certifying trucks, and there were only a few occasions. You may have been one of them where there was a backup, obviously, but it was tough to get equipment this year. I thought it flowed really good. I go out to all the sites. Everybody has to wait a little bit to get the certification. We have to have that certification, obviously, for anyone that's going to use the Solid Waste Authority temporary debris sites. If you, as a city, want to do this in advance, and you have, and Thompson is willing, here's my answer. There may be a cost to it. We can do a 3-month thing as your equipment changes or anything like that every year. We need to know, but if you want to go ahead and certify your equipment this year, then I would say we can work it out with Thompson for a cost to go to your facility and provide you with that certification.
Now, you're missing my point. The point is, we'll come to you for the certification here at SWA. We're not interested in paying any additional money other than what we're currently paying for disposal costs. The issue for us is that we sit in lines with everybody else, and yes, if, 3-day or 2-day wait is sufficient, I don't think that's the case. From my perspective, as a municipal manager, I want my truck certified in advance for no extra cost, because you've got a contract for Thompson to certify these. So let's get them certified for municipalities up front prior to the storm season actually taking place, so that we have our resources lined up, and they're lined up and certified with your process.
Well, and again, all of us wait. Nobody waited 2 or 3 days. I can assure everyone of that. I was at these sites. Somebody may have waited 4 hours maximum. We're all in the same boat. It's an emergency. And those trucks will start picking up sticks within 3 to 4 hours. and a cleanup takes a little bit of time. I mean, well, we don't activate, we have contracts with these folks, but they're not activated unless there's a declaration. So that's when they come and do their job and their responsibility. That's why I say, if you want to do it and save yourself 4 hours, which is gonna take, a cleanup usually takes at least a month. And if you wanna do it earlier, okay, and pay, I mean, I don't pay them until we activate them.
How hard would it be to put an invitation out, given that you're asked this question every single year? We don't have municipal trucks in Jupiter Inlet Colony, but there are a lot of towns that have municipal trucks. For you to have Thompson here for a day, 1 day, and invite all the municipalities that have municipal trucks to come here and be pre-certified so that they don't have to wait online, whether it's for an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours, with all the other trucks that are being certified that aren't from municipalities. I understand there's a lot of them. And just hire them to come here for a day.
Yeah, and that's something we're happy to look at.
And maybe the municipalities would be happy to split the cost of having them here for a whole day.
Yeah.
And virtually the cost would be nothing, rather than have them come out to each municipality and certify trucks.
Well-
Because you are asked this question every single year, and you're apparently hesitant to do this. I don't understand. And you'd have probably 50 or 80 or 100 or 200 extra trucks that wouldn't be on that line. I don't understand what the problem is
Well,
of
like
not
I
doing
said,
this.
usually,
Just put the invitation out and see how many people would want to do this.
yeah, and that's not a problem, and we can definitely do that. Just to let everybody know, well, now, there's 7 municipalities that haul their own and that even have equipment. So, and a lot of their equipment isn't conducive to picking up hurricane debris, because usually those are the self-loading type of truck. So we're talking about a small number of cities that still pick up their own garbage, that don't have a private company. And if we can, we're going to accommodate. We do our best with all our municipal partners to provide the highest level of service possible. And this is my first year standing behind the mic, and Mark, you've asked a question. We're going to do our best to accommodate your needs and ask the folks from Thompson to pick us a day, and we will do a blast fax and let everybody know, here is the day you can come in and get your vehicle certified. No problem.
And Nicole with the Village of Wellington just had a comment. We didn't have that issue for Irma. What we did is we did placard and certify our trucks ourselves, and we opened up our own debris site, which we found very successful, if possible. I know some municipalities have limited space, but that was extremely successful, and also we paid our contractors timely and kept them there. So those were kind of the 3 successes for us to get the cleanup going faster.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You want mine? Okay. Debbie Manzo, Town of Lanatana. Just a question on the placards or certification. Once a truck is certified, does it have to be recertified every year if there's no changes to the vehicle?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Each of these certifications is unique. It's an electronic system, and Thompson can go into more detail. So it's a unique certification, and they may change. So every year we'd have to do this, and we have no problem, like I said, to help out municipal partners that haul their own garbage, and every year we'd have to do this.
There's a software thing there too, is every year we change the encryption algorithm of the barcodes on both.
Okay. So it's not on our end because, of course, most of our trucks we keep for many years and we don't make changes to especially the capacity of what it can hold. But on another end, there's changes, and that's why it has to be recertified?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the barcodes we don't want carrying through from year to year to year. We want barcodes to expire annually on trucks. We don't want them carried through multiple years.
And to go back with Doug from Jupiter, you know, this electronic system is great. It really is. It's all GPS, and the challenge we have with unincorporated 39 municipal partners is we all have boundaries. And to give you an idea, if we have one of our monitors that happens to be cleaning up Jupiter Farms and Standing in the town of Jupiter, when they scan the truck, it goes toward the town of Jupiter. And what I mean by that is, if you were just to look at GPS, usually when they have a cleanup, it's one county, one city, one loop. It's Thompson doing the monitoring, Thompson running the sites. We are unique in Palm Beach County with 39 municipal partners, everybody using different people. So it does take patience. We have to stay calm. Everything will get picked up. We have proven that since 2004. It's not perfect. That's why they call it, you know, a disaster. But I'm going to tell you what, the people in this room working together are far beyond any other county, city, or state. That you can take to the bank.
Hi, Vicki, Lake Worth Drainage District. She was saying they certified their own trucks. Is everybody allowed to do that, to certify their own trucks?
I'm going to make it real easy. If you intend on using the Solid Waste Authority temporary debris sites, you must have your truck certified by Thompson Consulting.
So you have to.
If you want to operate your own, then you can do whatever you prefer to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just one more thing about the annual recertification of trucks. I just pulled one up just to look, and we are required to get the license plate information, the tag information, and that has the expiration date on it as well. So I actually just pulled one up that was certified September 25th. The tag expired October 24th. That's something FEMA reviews on those. So if we have a bunch of old trucks in there, even if we could do it, that would be a whole nother issue to audit against. Oh, if you're municipal trucks, okay. Well, this one had a tag on it, but.
Mr. Wright.
Jesse Wright, Village of Wellington. John, as you know, we certified our own trucks, but we did send them out to 20 Mile Bend to get them certified by Thompson, and we had to reconcile that. And I got to tell you, Thompson did a great job, so I just wanted to thank you guys. You worked with us, Nate worked with us, and we had no problem at all.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you. And you know, this was a unique storm. Usually you have 40, 50, 80, 100-yard trucks. Everybody this year had dump trucks, 14 to 16 cubic yards. What does that mean at a debris site and certification? You're certifying all these little trucks. It takes just as much time as a 50 to an 80-yarder. And imagine all these dump trucks coming in, and they have to go through the process, and that's where we had some challenges because a lot of cities, we took what we could get, but they were dump trucks. This was a unique cleanup, and I can guarantee you we had 4 incoming monitors just to keep the lines moving because of all the dump trucks that created numerous amount of transactions.
Hi, my name is Stacy. I'm with Palm Beach County School District. We had a delay in our pickup because of the trucks went everywhere else to the municipalities first. So my general question is it frowned upon to use 2 debris companies? Like, we started with one debris company who had a hard time getting enough staff to us in a timely manner. So if I have multiple people on my contract, but I didn't want to use multiple vendors because I wasn't sure if that would complicate the system in the end.
No, again, if they come to the Solid Waste Authority, and if you're looking at one of the 6 contractors that we have, you're correct. 3 of them we reached out to were not able to come. Ashbrit, Philip and Jordan's, and Bergeron came, to help us out of the 6. But to answer your question, you can go to our website, any of those contractors, once they're certified by Thompson, you can use our site. And, obviously you need to have an agreement. FEMA requires that. So you have to make sure in your contract, you have multiple companies.
I understand that. I'm talking, yeah, we have Thompson as well. So I guess my question is more to Thompson is, would it affect our final resolution with FEMA if we had like 2 or 3 debris vendors picking up instead of just one?
Sorry, they asked us to talk into the microphones. No, that's perfectly all right as long as you award the contract legally and you meet the procurement requirements. We deal with that all the time, as we did here at SWA, so absolutely.
My name is Ashley. I'm from the town of Manalapan. Just as you mentioned, this was a unique storm, so everybody was rushing to get things kind of certified and everything. Please excuse me, this is my first meeting. But is it possible as a compromise to suit them as well as anybody else as a municipality to set up like a specific site for municipal trucks to just go be certified as opposed to where they go with everybody in case of an emergency and this situation kind of arises again? And then we don't have to pay them extra to come and do it pre-hurricane season?
Just to answer your question, we have, again, 7 or 8 municipalities that have their own equipment, and I'm trying to understand your question. Manalapan, you have a company that picks up, so you're interested.
I'm just saying, like, as a general, for everybody, like municipalities that do have their own trucks and want to use those in the case of an emergency, as opposed to them going and complaining about waiting 2, 3, 4 hours and paying their employees overtime on that. Can't we have a site-specific location for just municipal trucks to go get certified when you do activate them instead of paying ahead of time?
Well, we're going to address that. We've already worked that out at this meeting with Thompson. We're going to send a fax out when Thompson will come for that day to certify trucks for 2018 for those cities that would like, again, we have a partnership. We appreciate and respect it tremendously with all our municipal partners, and we try our best to do whatever we can, and we believe we can accommodate that, and that's what we're going to do. As far as other cities that have contracts, they don't know who they're going to bring in at any particular time. It all depends on the size of the storm, who their subs are. So, I mean, it can't be an open season just to bring in a bunch of trucks to certify. It's going to be to assist our municipal partners that do their own, that have their equipment, fixed assets, and we will work with them. No other questions?
I appreciate that. Yeah, one of the issues that came up on last time was, that 72 hours. I'm going to make it available to all the cities. I mean, if that debris site's not available to you, we have transfer stations, we have landfills. We opened within 24 hours. Yeah, we'll give you a ticket. You can attach that for whatever reimbursement you need. Then you're not waiting at all. And with that one call, and I think we took a call, and I instantly went out to the site because there were long lines out at the, for the truck cert. I went out there was not one truck waiting, at that time. And, it came in and went out, just wasn't there. But we're listening. We can do that. That's something we'll look at, right there, and we'll get that done. So, on Matthew, and closing on that, we just got our final check in January. So the storm hit October 2016. We got our final checks January of 2018. So we don't know when we're going to get reimbursed right now. All the video and is going to be posted, and all of the slides from today's presentation, we're going to post it to the SWA website, so you can go back and review all of that. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to call. You've got the contact list on the slides here. So without further ado, I don't see any other questions. I want to wish everyone a good hurricane season. Let's cross our fingers.